Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Lisa.
And in this video, you're going to hear and see references to the JLT oil separator. Well, we're excited to announce that as of December 2021, all JLT oil separators will now be J&L oil separators.
Same great product with a different name.
Thank you for your purchase.
I'm going to walk you through the installation of the JLT oil separator for your 14 to 18 GM truck and SUV with a 5.3 or 6.2 liter. Included in the JLT oil separator kit is the oil separator, mounting bracket and mounting screws. Tools you'll need for installation is a 13mm socket and ratchet, a Phillips head screwdriver, a 5/16 nut driver, and light oil. Let's get started. First step on our 5.3 install is to remove the factory airbox. This is done by removing these two PCV lines. The one on the driver's side, you push up on the bottom button. One on the passenger, the button's on the top, you press down. Next, you're going to remove the two 5/16 hose clamps, or just loosen them. One at the airbox. And the one at the throttle body. That will allow you to remove the factory airbox and set it to the side. So our PCV line is this line here, runs underneath this harness into our manifold connection there in the center. So you're going to remove the PCV side first. This connection is just like the airbox connection, just smaller. It's got a button. And press the button and pull up on the fitting. And once that's off, you're able to rotate the hose and you'll get access to the button on the manifold side. Reach your finger in there and release that. And that's released. Now you just got to work this line out. So just don't pull too hard. You have to push and pull and wiggle, but it will come out. Again, these lines connect, disconnect. You can see all the oil in that line. Just like that. This bolt here is where we're going to mount our JLT bracket. It's 13mm. Loosen that up and remove the bolt. Grab your JLT bracket. And we're just going to install this by hand for now. We're not going to tighten this bolt all the way down because it will allow us to pivot our can for the best installation. Next, grab your JLT can. Notice the orientation of the logo. Make sure that matches up with the orientation of the bracket. Use the two supplied screws. To mount the can. We can go ahead and tighten up these screws. With our Phillips head screwdriver. Now we just need to make our connections. Before we do that, our quick connect fittings have two O-rings inside of them. They fit very snugly onto the OEM fittings. I suggest putting a little touch of oil. You can do this with a Q-tip or oil dropper, and this will provide some lubrication so these slide onto the fitting without any trouble. If you don't get them on just perfect, you can dislodge them if you force them on. So we're going to do that. And you could also just put a little oil on your hand, your finger, and just lube up the shaft of the PCV valve. And the same at the manifold again. A little bit of oil goes a long way. Okay, so our JLT logo, the T side line, the line that the T is on, this is our dirty line. This is going to go to the PCV valve. So we're going to make that route first. Go underneath this wiring harness and onto the PCV fitting. Again, making sure that the line goes straight and snaps onto the PCV. And then our clean side line is going to wrap around our intake PCV line and make its way back to the manifold. Again, work that on. That snaps like so. And now with the can, this is going to allow us to pivot it for the most ideal hose routing. We want to make these nice sweeping bends. I'm going to get that where we want it, out there, and tighten that bolt up. And all that's left is to put the factory airbox back on. I like to put it onto the airbox first, and then down onto the throttle body. Tighten our clamps. And then plug back in our two lines, driver and passenger. And that completes your install on your 5.3 liter. Okay, step one, we need to remove this factory airbox. But first, we need to remove the engine cover if equipped. The Cadillac Escalades do have a cover. Some of your truck models will not. So just pull up on that cover. Next, you have two PCV connections on each side of the airbox. On the driver's side, you're going to push up on the button to release. Passenger side, the button's on the top, so push down. And then next, there is a 5/16 or flathead nut here to remove the clamp at the throttle body. And you're going to do the same at the airbox. And take your airbox assembly and set it to the side. On the 6.2 liter models, the PCV line is here. So we have the connection at the manifold and the connection at the PCV valve. These clips remove the same way as the ones on the airbox. You press the protruding button inward, and then the same at the valve. So you're just going to press that button and that releases the fitting. This 13 millimeter bolt here up on the firewall is the one we're going to remove. This is where our can's going to mount. Take your JLT bracket. And we're just going to tighten this by hand for now. We're not going to tighten this down because we may need to pivot the bracket. Next, we're going to take our JLT can. The JLT logos will line up, the JLT across, and the JLT across on the bracket. Take your supplied mounting screws. And we'll go ahead and tighten those up with our Phillips head screwdriver. And a little tip here on these connections that we include, the quick connects, these fittings fit, the OEM fittings, very tight. And if this fitting is dry, you have a chance, if you don't press this fitting on just perfectly straight, to dislodge these O-rings. So what I do is I just take a little touch of oil. You can put this on a Q-tip. And I just oil the shank of the fittings. And this is going to give those O-rings some lubrication so they want to slide right on. So now we're ready to make our connections. So the line from the T side of the can, the JLT logo, is our dirty line. This is going to go to our PCV valve. We're going to route this in between the valve cover and this wiring harness. And this is going to go onto our valve, and this will snap into place. And then our intake manifold line is just going to route around our PCV line here from our cylinder head onto the intake manifold fitting, and that's going to the J side of the can, which is the clean side of the can. So that will snap on. Once we have the bracket where we want it, we can tighten up that bolt. Now we just need to reassemble the vehicle. So, in order, we're going to put the stock airbox back on. Get it back on the throttle body. Need to tighten up our connections. We have the one here at the throttle body, another one at the airbox. Need to plug in our PCV connections and reinstall our engine cover if we had one.